Alright, welcome back, guys, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm Vision here with Blind Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today we're doing my episode review for episode 13 of the season 8 of The Walking Dead, titled Do Not Send Us Astray. Now, if The Walking Dead is something you're interested in, something you want to know my thoughts on, see my reviews, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon that way you don't miss any future videos having to do with The Walking Dead. Now let's get started. So first let's talk about Morgan, because this is where the episode first starts off, pretty much with him in the woods, seeing a hallucination of Gavin. Now if you've seen my previous review for the mid-season premiere episode, you'll know I absolutely hated the fact that Gavin died. And as much as I love the character and that they brought him back here, it doesn't make up for the fact that they killed him off. I still wish he had survived. I'm still mad at them for killing him off. And even though I like the character and I like Morgan, the whole hallucination thing just kind of felt weird. Maybe it's just me. I don't really like the whole hallucination things. Those just kind of feel weird. And then the whole message of it kind of felt weird. Like, what's he saying? It was supposed to be you or whatever. That didn't make any sense to me. My guess is he's trying to tell him that it was supposed to be him that killed him. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it should have been maybe Morgan that killed him, but it just felt a little out of place and just felt weird. But let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on the Gavin hallucination in the episode, because I feel like as much as I love the character and wish he was still alive, it just didn't work for me. It just felt out of place, didn't need it. Next, let's talk about Sadiq with this new doctor character, because I really did enjoy these kind of back and forth stuff between him and this doctor from the kingdom. I really did enjoy it. I love how they have Sadiq continuing to prove himself and prove how valuable he can be and honor his kind of last kind of talk with Carl and do what he can to help his people. I really like that. Again, though, I really hate that they killed this doctor off. Everybody's been wondering what's going on with the Kingdom Doctor, and then they bring her in for this episode just to kill her. It just is so ridiculous. Like I said before, doctors are a necessity. Why are you killing off these doctors? It just felt so stupid, so ridiculous, such a waste of time. But again, I did like the interaction we had with Sadiq there. It was definitely a good one. Next, let's talk about the Savior's attack, because I really did enjoy that. I was afraid that they were going to build up to it and then have it begin at the end of this episode and then have it continue next episode. So I'm glad that they incorporated that into this episode alone, and I really did enjoy that. I love how the Hilltop put out those nails to stop the cars and stuff. I really like that. I did kind of wish they set up other kind of traps though, because I understand they probably did it last minute, but it would have just seemed a little bit more cooler if they set up a couple more traps for them. But I did enjoy that. And then you have Simon, and he finds out about the POWs, and I really loved that scene where he explains to Maggie that they're pretty much cannon fodder and he doesn't need them anymore, and that if they were really saviors, they'd find a way to get out of this situation. I really like that, and then I really liked also during that scene where you had that savior Jared on one side and savior Dylan, or Al I think his name is. I really like that, because on one side of Maggie you had the good savior, and then on the other side of Maggie you had the bad savior. I really like how they kind of had that kind of thing going there, like symbolism for that. I really like that. It was pretty cool. And then they opened fire on the group. I really loved that. And one of the things that I missed the first time around watching this episode is when they shot one of the POWs, because I was so confused when that POW turned. I was like, what happened to her? And then when I rewatched it, I realized that she got shot. I really like how they didn't even care enough and they just shot their own people. Like, that was so crazy and so amazing. I really like how they did that, really proving that they don't care about these POWs anymore. It was such a good scene, and I love how they kind of had them eventually break into the hilltop and attack from that side. You have Tobin who gets stabbed. I really was upset about that. I'm going to talk more about Tobin later, but I really did like that scene, and Carol coming over and Sadiq rescuing him. Also in the battle, I really like how you had Sadiq healing Tobin, and you had Rick going over and he almost kills Sadiq because he thinks he's a savior. I really like that, because remember, Sadiq is new to them. He just joined them like maybe a day ago, so you're not going to remember everybody there. So I really like how they had that play out, and I really like how they choreographed the fight there and had everybody fighting. And I really like when the saviors come in, they split up, and I really love the whistling thing. I always love when they do that. One thing I wish they had done, and I thought of this right away when they entered the hilltop and when Rick turned on them and fought back, I wish that the survivors would have whistled back and kind of like a mockery of what they were doing. And if you remember when Rick and his group first encountered the Saviors, they were trapped like Simon and his men were this time around, and then they ended up having the lights come on them. I really wish they'd done something where that Rick and his group were whistling back at them, and then the lights come on and they are all surprised and open fire on them. I really wish that had been done. That would have been so cool. That would have been an awesome scene, I think. But I really like what they did, just alone with the choreographed fight, how they portrayed everything. And I really like how they had Simon, who was gonna go and kill Tara, but then you had Dwight kind of come up behind them and then shoot her with an arrow that I'm guessing is not infected. I think they are remixing it where Tara's going to be the one who doesn't end up infected and not Rick. They could still do Rick later, but I think Tara is more to prove that Dwight is on their side in a way. But all in all, I really loved that fight. It was probably one of the best fights of the season so far, even past like the other ones in the earlier episodes. I really loved this episode. It was definitely a high for me in this episode. Definitely brought back some momentum that I feel like we lost in the past episodes that just wasn't there, but was brought back in this episode. But all in all, I really loved that fight. Then we move on to the next day, and I really like how they had the walkers at the gates in the morning, because that was something I was so confused about at night. I was like, where are all the walkers? Shouldn't the walkers be being attracted to all the gunfire? That was something I was a little bit confused on, but I'm glad they kind of made up for that with the walkers being there in the morning. And I like how they had everybody going about their normal day, making it feel so peace and calm. Everything's okay. They won the battle. You have Rick, and he's trying to open up the windows. I really like that because it's just a small thing, but he even says he wants to make sure the kids are comfortable. I really like that. I really like how he's taking care of these kids and thinking about the kids after what happened with Carl. And then I really like how you have him and Sadiq interacting and him getting fixed up. I think they might be playing off. I think they might have hit it a little bit, but I'm not sure if Rick got cut and that's what Sadiq's trying to heal and he might be cut by an infected weapon. I feel like they might be doing that subtly. But I really like how they portrayed the next day, and I really like that conversation that Tara and Daryl had about how Tara could have been with the Savior similar to how she was with the governor, and how if Merle was still around, Daryl and him would most likely be with the Saviors. I really like how they had that kind of thing play off. That was such a good thing to do. I really like when they called back to things like that, because these are two characters that could easily have been on the other side of that fence. And I really like how they kind of did a callback to both the governor and Merle in this episode. Also, I really like how they brought back up during the day that Carol and Tobin used to have a relationship. I really like how they touched back on that and brought that back up, because I feel like that kind of fell to the wayside, but I really am glad that they brought that back up and kind of brought that full circle this episode. And it was such a touching moment, such a good moment. As much as I hate Carol, I really felt like that was a much needed moment and such a great moment, especially later when she has to kill him. I feel like that was such a beautiful moment. It's such a strong moment in this episode. I really love when they do that, and it just wasn't kind of like a throwaway relationship, and they kind of explained what was going on at that point in the story. I really love that because I feel like it just brought back a bunch of stuff that could have been, like I said, thrown to the wayside, brought that back up, and brought the story to a full conclusion from back in, season 5. I really did like that. Next, we got the nighttime attack. Now, I'm 50-50 on this because I really, really love the suspense and tension they had there. It reminded me a lot of Season 4, Episode 2, Infected. It gave me a lot of vibes like that. However, there were some things I really did not like about how did all these people sleep through like this? Because, like, you had this one guy fall from the stairs, you had all them growling, and you're telling me no one woke up from that? That's the one thing I thought of right away. I'm like, how is no one awake when this guy automatically falls down the stairs? That makes no sense whatsoever. And second, where are all the guards? Shouldn't someone be guarding or be on watch while people are sleeping? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you got people who are injured, maybe sick upstairs, and you have no one on watch. It just makes no sense. But I really did enjoy that scene. I love how you had Tobin turn. That was such a cool scene. I really loved Tobin, and I love the actor Jason Douglas. I love him. He's such a great actor. I loved him in this whole show. He's such a great actor. And I love the scenes where he just comes up from behind these people and bites them. Again, I'm still mad that he killed the doctor. That made no sense. But I really love the suspense-filled scenes and everything that goes on in those scenes. It was such an amazing thing. And then you had, at the end of it all, after everybody's done fighting them, you had that one Alexandrian Bruce who realizes he's gonna die, and he begs them to please kill him. It was such a beautiful scene. I really loved that scene, especially with that. Even though he's just a background kind of character, it was such a beautiful scene. And then Maggie goes over and holds his hand, and then someone shoots him, presumably. However, my one con with this part, and besides the whole how they didn't know they were being under attack, my one con is the fact that they realized that the weapons were infected right away. I feel like that should have been driven out a little bit longer, have them wonder what's going on a little bit longer. It just kind of felt like a little rushed in my. Next, let's talk about Henry, because this is my biggest gripe about this episode, because I really liked how they had Henry want to fight. However, I think they overdid it with him going out there and then confronting the prisoners. I think it would have been better if they just told him, you can help, bring water or bring stuff out to the people after they're done fighting, something like that. But then you had him go out and fight or get in a confrontation with the POWs. That was so stupid. I hated that. And it just was so stupid because it just, like, he's going in there and confronting these prisoners. It just felt out of place. And then you had him actually go into the jail cell. That was even more stupid. And then when everybody finds out they're under attack, Jared takes advantage of him and everybody escapes. That just seems so, like, lazy writing. They could have maybe had Gregory trick him into giving him the keys, and then him escaping, and then Gregory's leaving, everybody else runs out with him as the chaos erupts from everybody turning inside. I feel like that would have been such a better way to do it. And I just kind of feel like that was such a stupid scene, and I really think Henry's going to die in the next episode. And that's I feel like at this point he kind of has to die. I feel like him dying, going on like a mission to find out who killed his brother, that'd be a good way to have the kid go out. At this point, he's kind of just being annoying and getting on my nerves. Last, let's talk about this Savior Al, I guess his name is, and Maggie, because I really like what they did with him this episode, giving him more backstory, making him seem more like a good guy when he stayed behind. I really, really love that, and how he wanted to fight the Saviors after they left him for dead. I really like that. I really love how they gave him more background, a little bit more of his brother in this episode, but more about Maggie. I love what they've done with her in this episode. You have Diane and that other guy from Hilltop keep telling her how much of a good leader she is, and I really love how that even one Hilltop person's like, you're much better than Gregory. He was all for himself. And then you have Maggie revealing later how she wanted them to come here. She lured them here. She brought the Saviors here for her own selfish reasons, so she's no better than Gregory. I really love that, how she wanted Gwen's grave to be the last thing Negan saw. I even love that. I absolutely love how they had that, and you had her going down the kind of rabbit's hole where she could have been becoming more like Gregory. I really love that. I really love how they did that parallel kind of thing. That was such a great scene. And the last thing I want to mention about this episode is I love how every time her and Diane were talking by the graves, they showed more and more graves, as how Maggie was, each time they were talking, Maggie was more and more responsible for more people on their side dying. I really loved how they did that. That was such a great scene too. I really loved this episode, just with the few cons of Henry and the nighttime attack. Those are probably my only little cons. Other than that, I think this is one of the best episodes of the season so far. I think it definitely redeemed it from the past couple kind of not as exciting episodes. I'll leave your thoughts, opinions in the comment section down below. So yeah, guys, that's my review of The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 13. Do not send us astray. Give this video a big thumbs up and share. And don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the bell icon that way you don't miss any future videos on The Walking Dead. This has been Vision here with Blind Entertainment, and I will see you next time.